Hello everybody, I'm Dustin with Blast Away the Game Review. Today we are going to be talking about the excavation and scrying skill tree lines, which are now available in the Elder Scrolls Online Greymoor, and they are exclusively featured in the Greymoor expansion at this time. Now, the one thing you're going to take a notice about with this instantly, as you see on screen, is it is truly a treasure hunting themed skill line which allows you to find antiquities that are hidden throughout Western Skyrim. This can include things as small as, say, a crafting item, an armor piece, or even furniture. It really depends on what is being offered at the time of the relic that you decide to scry. Now, you will have to level this up just like any other skill tree line, but the idea behind it is to give you more sense of depth, more story, more everything, and it's actually kind of a really unique but tedious event because the puzzles themselves can take a little bit of time. As you can see here, I have spent a lot of time, so I'm able to just go through this really quickly. Now, the thing about this you have to know is the scrying system seems like it's one of those, it's a direct path type system where it's you're going to identify one thing, you're going to click this puzzle piece and then that puzzle piece and move on. It is one of those where it is definitely a detail-oriented puzzle system that may take you a few attempts to learn when you get started. I have some puzzles where they took me 3 or 4 attempts because the best path itself was not the most obvious, and so I had to start over, even though I was able to see it after having messed up. Now, that being said, you're probably wondering, how is this a guide if I'm going to be talking about scrying and excavation? Well, to get there, first of all, you do have to have the Greymoor expansion. It is exclusive to the Greymoor expansion. You can now buy that on PC, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4. For this tutorial, I'm using the PlayStation 4 build. You will need to go to Solitude. You will be looking for a place on the map called the Antiquities, or the Antiquarian's Eye. Now, this place, once you get there, you will be talking to an NPC. She will give you a rundown of how the Antiquarian Eye works, what the antiquarians are about, what they do, why they're so important, why you should team up with them, and why you should help them uncover and unearth all of these items. Now, with that being said, again, this quest line is very brief. You're going to fly through it pretty quickly. It is mostly a dialogue-filled story arc at Verida Numida's building, once she gives you a bit of an idea of what's going on, and from there your fun begins. This fun can include hours of running around finding tons of treasure, which I actually lost time doing it. It's a really fun system. The story behind it as you unearth these new artifacts is really, really good, and believe it or not, it gives me a lot of hope for it to expand into the overall Elder Scrolls Online experience. Now, the Antiquarian Circle themselves are a unique and clever little bunch. They are a fun little bunch that gives you a tremendous amount of backstory through relics, curios, goodies is basically all I can say. Is you get these relics and these goodies that can give you armor, weapons, story items, furniture, crafting items. It just really depends on your luck of the draw and the rarity of the item you're scrying. So keep that in mind when you do it. Now, after you talk to Verida, you will be sent down to talk to Gabrielle. Gabrielle is how you're going to learn to actually scry and excavate. She will give you a brief tutorial after you accept everything she said and go through all her dialogue, and she's not one that you'll be with too long. It's pretty quick, and as you can see here, this is what the scribbles look like. They are in your journal. You do have to go through your journal every single time, and again, you can get some really cool stuff. And the nice thing about these puzzles is they're easy to learn. It's just a matter of getting from point A to point B. And that's all it is really getting from point A to point B and making sure that when you spot the path, you just go to the path. Because sometimes the easiest path from one point to another is not straightforward. That means you could go from left to right, up top to bottom, or just straight up. And as you can see here, the direct path was not actually straight up. It was watching where all the pieces interconnect with the scrying sphere that I need to identify. Now, all the excavation sites are tied to each of the items you scry. These relics will send you to different parts of Western Skyrim. You can go from southern Western Skyrim all the way to northern Western Skyrim, or east or west, or somewhere in the middle. Now, just like any node that you can mine, farm, what have you, gather is what I should say, resource nodes, you will see them in these boulder type things, as you saw. They're giant piles that glow. Now, when you start the excavation, you have two options. You can do a basic brushing, which allows you to dig straight down. As you can see, it unearths the relic. The L1 option, those of you on Xbox One, this is going to be your LB. It allows you to zero in. It's like a hot or cold type deal. Now, that one went really quick, so we're going to take another look at another excavation really quick to give you a better idea. Now, the Antiquarian Eye does have limited uses. You have 9 uses. Each time you use your brush, which is going to be your L2 for PlayStation 4 or your left trigger for Xbox, you'll notice that it'll put a grid type deal. Now, this is your hot or cold. It gives you an idea of what direction you need to go in order to find the actual treasure. Once you do that, you can unearth the treasure that is put before you, or you can hit your L2 and begin brushing and finding the other treasures, because there's always more than just the main antiquity. You can find, as I've said, extra items within the excavation site. Now, the top bar is what's going to determine how much longer you can dig. You can dig for 5 minutes, not realistically, but you can dig for a minute or so, or a few digs down. Now, there are going to be multiple layers. As you can see where the rocks are, it is taking quite a bit more of my time up in order to go down further into the pit. Now, don't expect to find the hidden treasure every time. You may not find the additional loot. But with that being said, you now know how to scry and excavate. I hope all of you enjoy this tutorial, and I look forward to seeing you all.